Hey, what's up, guys? I figured out how to take an RSS feed, take a article or something that's in the RSS feed, and then turn it into a blog post and post it on Wix automatically. So I'm going to go ahead and do a quick demo here, and we're going to build it together. So I'm going to walk through how to build the whole thing. You'll be able to see step by step what I'm doing. Okay, so here's the website, and this is on Wix, and it's just a fake website. I just stood it up a couple like yesterday so I could test this, and I wanted to do it through an RSS feed. So I have an RSS feed. So I'm using rss.app, and we'll go over this in a minute, but under my feeds, I actually have a bundle, which is a bunch of feeds together that are related to AI and image creation. So different things. So this is the URL that I'm using. And what we're doing is we're going to have it pull a feed from here, and then it's going to send it to Perplexity to do research. And then from there, we're going to have it create the blog in JSON format, create a summary, create a title for it. And then we're going to put all this stuff into Airtable. So I have a blank Airtable here that we're going to work through together. And then it's going to grab some information from this record that was just created so that it can send it over here to Wix. Now, to send it to Wix, we don't actually have the Wix modules. So we're doing it through API, and all of this stuff is being done directly here. I'm going to have my APIs and stuff showing it's a fake website. When I'm done with this, I'm going to take it down anyway, so it doesn't matter. All right, so let's go ahead and run this once. And what it's going to do is pull from that RSS feed that I just showed you. If we go look over here, the last article was in this one right here, and this was on AI ethical tightrope balancing innovation with responsibility. So that was what was previously there. That was the last one that was done. It's running right now. Perplexity takes a little bit of time because this is actually reaching out to the internet to do the research. It's going to pull that information back, and then it's going to use this information in the ChatGPT completion, which is asking it to create a blog based on the information that was in Perplexity. After that's done, this snappy summary one is really just looking for, look at the blog, and then let's write a summary about what this, based on what this blog is about. And it's just for us to look at it, and on the Airtable, it doesn't get used anywhere. You can set it up on Wix to be used as the metadata description, but right now this is just an extra step that I use for something in Airtable. You create the title, goes and puts the stuff in Airtable, grabs the record, and then puts the stuff in Wix. Let's go check out that the Airtable right here. And sometimes you have to refresh the page on this, and then see the third one down here was created. So this is a new one. It's based on Perplexity. The AI music platform faces lawsuits over alleged copyright infringements. Interestingly enough, I just used it in order to do the research for this. So we're close that. And then let's go look at the actual blog page. So right now, and there is the blog. So it created a draft first, and then it put it in here, and it's broken up in different format, just the way a blog would normally be. So you can change the formatting of this based on Wix itself, but this is set up for using HTML tags in a JSON format. All right, so let's walk through building this together. So we're gonna go over and start with a blank make.com scenario, and we're just gonna call this one make with blog generate build together. And we're going to start off with a RSS feed. Now, generally, you would tell it to watch the RSS feed. So when a new feed hits, generate the blog automatically. We don't want to do that because I need to be able to pull it while we're actually using here. So on this one, we're just going to tell it to retrieve the RSS feed item. Again, normally you would tell it to watch it. That way, when a new feed hits, on a certain date and time, you can have it just pull automatically. We're going to go grab this URL from my bundle here. We're going to go back here, and we're going to paste this URL right here. Now, if you don't have an RSS .app account, you can go ahead and sign up for it. They give you like a trial, and then you can do, I think there's just a free version as well for a little while, but there are some restrictions to it. If you want to be able to pull a lot of this stuff, it's relatively cheap to sign up for the annual membership, and you get 15 RSS feeds that it'll manage for you. Anyway, so we're gonna go back here. You can set the dates that you want it to start from, so don't go older than a certain day, don't go newer than a certain time, and then number of items you want returned. So we're just going to do one because I only wanted to pull one. But if you wanted it to pull 4 or 5 per day, you could have it pull 4 or 5 at a time. So we're going to set that to 1. Go ahead and click OK. And then next we use Perplexity. So I'm just going to copy this module and put it over here so you can see it. Paste. And we're going to connect it together. And then Perplexity here is saying, I want you to review the content at this URL. So we're going to change that URL to match this one. And it's going to be the URL that's there. Now, if we want some live data to be able to see it, we can go ahead and grab that and just right click on the RSS feed one and say run this module only. Now it's going to pull information, and it pulled from that URL. Here's the information it pulled, right? So when we go in here and we click on this, it's going to show us the information beside the actual variables. All right, so we wanted to review the content and extract key points, insights, and data that can support writing a blog post on the topics covered by the page. So whatever's on there, we want information that's relevant to it. Focus on summarizing core ideas, relevant statistics, and any unique perspectives and arguments presented. Additionally, identify any sections that provide actionable advice, or trends, or predictions, and organize these insights into categories, such as benefits, challenges, steps to implement. That could be useful for structuring a comprehensive and engaging blog post. All right, we're going to set this up as a user. We're going to make sure that we set the max tokens. We're going to leave it set to 4,000. It's going to be blank, but you can add in 4,000. That usually will cover this type of research more than enough. Okay, and then after we have our Perplexity, next thing we're going to have in here is a ChatGPT. We're going to copy this module and drop it in over here. Now, this one is a little bit different. So we're telling it to create a blog in JSON format, but it's not just a standard JSON format because Wix expects to receive that information in a very specific way. So in here, I'm telling it, here's the title from over here. So this is the title of what you're looking for. And then here's the research content. So I want you to grab this content. I have this set up inside of as an assistant. So I'm going to go and show you that real quick. So if you go to platform.openai.assistants, you are able to see all of the assistants. And you can put this in directly into the module. It doesn't have to be an assistant. I just use it for keeping things cleaner. But this is telling it you will output a blog in a node-based JSON structure compatible with Wix's API rich structure format. Do not include any other text outside of the JSON output, such as JSON or period. The reason that's there is because I got some outputs from it, and it included things above and below that was causing Wix to throw errors. So there's that. You are providing the nodes in rich format or rich content. Do not provide the beginning part, so I don't want this draft post area or rich content or the ending part here. Your output should begin with nodes. The word count needs to be 1,500 to 2,500 words. Your tasks with writing engaging. So this one is for a company doing CrossFit, but you will see that on the other posts doesn't actually have that information in there. So this area is the part of the prompt where you're going to tell it exactly what you want, as well as the tone of voice. All that stuff's here, and I am going to upload the assistant so you can use it for whatever you need. It also has a recommended output structure so that ChatGPT knows exactly what it needs to do. All right, so you're going to take the assistant file that you see in my community, and you're going to just paste it right in here. Then, okay, after that, we have this set up in here, and this is going to be outputting in a specific format that we need it to be. After that, we're going to create our snappy summary. So let's just do that one together. Okay. On this one, we're going to say open AI, and we're going to do create a completion because this one's not going to an assistant. If you are in my Skool community, you'll be able to just download the blueprints for this and grab whatever you need. It'll all be there. You don't have to create any of this yourself. So we're going to create a completion. The model we're going to use is GPT-4o. It's one of the newer ones. We're going to use a user role. And I'm just going to go back over here and copy this message content, which is, again, provided. That bottom part's going to be a little bit different because you can see it as a different number. Okay, and here we're saying you're going to be provided an article. Your task is to carefully read and comprehend the information. After analyzing the transcript, generate a concise summary. The summary should be informative, helpful, to the point, a maximum of 35 words. So this is to keep a very short summary. This is so that if somebody looks at this, they would know exactly what this is supposed to be about, whether or not they want to read it more. The result is this blog in our JSON format. So we're going to put that there. We're out and down here, we have to set max tokens. So this is a short blog, so 1,000 tokens should be more than enough. The tokens have to accommodate for what's going in and what's coming out. So that's why it may have to be a little bit more. And then we can just rename this. So on the other one, I had it called Snappy Summary. It is called Snappy Summary. And click OK. And that way we're just able to see it. Beside that, we had title generator. So it's going to be another ChatGPT. Create a completion. We're going to go with the 4o again for the model. And we're just going to click on add message and use a user role. And in this one, we're going to go grab this prompt from title generator. And inside here, that's going to be the message content. Now you notice it says, do not put the title in quotes. The reason for that is that it puts that title into the JSON or like into the output for what's going to Wix. And when that happens, the title being in quotes, it actually sees it as double quotes. So we're going to leave that off of there. Again, max tokens. This is a short title, so 1,000 characters should be fine, or 1,000 tokens should be fine. All right. And then after this one, we can just rename this to title generator. All right. And then after that, we're going to create an Airtable. So we have this Airtable here. You'll see that I have a blank one. And the way we have this created is give it a name. You have one table here. And then I have topic, which in this scenario, we're actually not going to have some of it's the primary field, so I can't delete that one. But I can delete this one, and I can rename this one to title instead. So we have title, we have summary. Now the title is a single line. The summary is a long text form. Perplexity research is also long text. The content is long because there's going to be lots of information in there. We don't need this ready to go for this one. We don't need the status. We do need status because this is going to be changed to published when it's done. Yeah. So in the status, this is a single select option for the status, and we have deny, approve, drafted, and published. All right. So those are the fields that we're going to use for the Airtable. And again, Airtable it's free for a lower level. And that's why I'm redoing this because I did a version of this using a automation inside of Airtable, and you have to pay for that. So this setup can be done for free. So we're going to go back in here to the new scenario, and we're going to say we want to do an Airtable. Now we need to create a record because we need to put all the information that we've got, that snappy summary, the title, the blog post, the Perplexity research, all of that stuff needs to go into a Airtable. So we're going to tell it to create a new record. And you're going to have to connect it to your Airtable if you haven't connected it before. The way you'll do that is just you'll click on here, click add. It's going to ask you to sign into Airtable. And then you'll click on the one that you have. So for my base, we're doing the make Wix test blog generator RSS build together. So this is what this is for. And then, so that is the actual whole, like when it says base, it's talking about the entire Airtable. When it asks for the table, it's asking which one of these tabs across the top. So which individual sheet or table are we looking at? So in this scenario, it's going to be table 1. So we're just going to go in here and select table 1. If ever you add something in here and it's missing, you can just go in here and click this little refresh icon. It will bring up a new view of what's actually in your Airtable. So we're going to click on table 1. Now we need to add this stuff in here. And all this stuff is things that we got from earlier. So we're going to grab title from the RSS feed. We're going to grab summary from Snappy Summary. We're just going to grab the result. That's what we're looking for there. Perplexity research. We're going to go back here. Now under Perplexity, you have to drill down a little bit to get to the information. So we're going to click on choices and then message and then content. And that's going to go right here under the Perplexity. Now for the actual content that's going to be posted on the blog here, we're going to use the result from the blog in JSON. Plain text doesn't matter and status right now doesn't matter either. So we're going to leave those two blank. And we're going to click on OK. Now, if we want to from right here, we can go ahead and run this and it'll fill this information in. So let's go ahead and click on run once. We will see it do its generation. It's going to go through Perplexity. It's going to reach out to ChatGPT and create the blog post itself, do the snappy summary, create the title, and it's going to put all that information into this new Airtable that we have. Right now, there's nothing in here, so we should see it populate this in just a few minutes. All right, so Perplexity finished, JSON finished, the blog with ChatGPT, the snappy summary title, and it updated it in the Airtable. So let's go over here and take a look at it. Boom, there it is. This is the same one that we did a few minutes ago, so you can see it's the same type of information. Here's the node format that I was talking about. This is how Wix expects to receive it. If it's a heading, it's going to say nodes. If the type of the node is heading, what's the ID H1, and then what's the text that's going in there for H1, what's the text data. Here's the information. It breaks it down in a node format for JSON. If you don't put it this way, Wix will not accept it. It's going to kick it back every single time. I went through a ton of testing with this. If you do not use this node format, it's not going to work. So make sure that you have this set up properly. Otherwise, when it goes into Wix, even if you try submitting HTML, any of that, it's not going to take it properly. So we've got that article. It's written in there. We're going to do an update. We're going to get a record. I need to get some information out of here so that I can send it over here to Wix. Now, the reason I'm doing it that way is technically I could just pull it from these things. But now that I've put everything into an Airtable, I want to use that Airtable as a single point of access. That's where all of the data is. It is a database. So I just wanted to pull that information from there rather than going back to these other things where it's just holding it in kind of memory. So we're going to create this get a record. And all you have to do is click on here. We're going to click the Airtable again, and we're going to do get a record. Now, in order to get that specific record, we needed to pull the same line that we just created. That line, when it was created as has a record ID, which I'll put Perplexity content. Oh, actually, yeah, it's right here, the record ID. So when that record ID is created, it's usable in this next one. So when I say get a record, I'm telling it from this base, which is the RSS build together one that we're using. The table is table 1, and then it's going to ask me what record am I looking for specifically. So we're going to use this record ID from the previous one as a variable. Put that in there. Now when this runs and there's a new record that's created, that new ID goes into this one. It's going to pull the information for that record, not from something that you did in the past. All right, this next one is going to take a few minutes to get through. So we're going to do it together, but this is going to be HTTP make a request. And we're making a request to Wix. We're going to be pulling, on this one, we're actually going to be posting the blog as a draft in Wix. So you can't actually publish a blog post without it being drafted. We're going to do submit or post. We're doing an API post to Wix in order to put it in as a draft post. So to get it there, I'm just going to go grab some information from this other one because it's already in here. I don't want to have to go search for it, but here's the URL for Wix. So this is Wix API /blog /v3 /draft posts. And we're going to copy that. We're going to paste it in here as the URL. Now, this is going to be a post, not a get. So we're not just receiving information or just checking on it. We're actually putting something in there. All right. Now we have to create multiple headers, right? So in the header, we have to do an authorization header for the API key. Again, this is a fake website. It's going to be deleted. This API key is going to be deleted later, so I don't really care that it's on video. We also have to do a content type header, which is telling it that we're using an application and we're using the JSON format for the application. And then lastly, the Wix site ID. Now, I'm going to show you where to pull all this information from so that you know how to access it. And then we're going to put the stuff in over here on this one. So we're going to create these header. So the first one is going to be authorization. And then the second one is going to be content type. And the content type is actually going to be application JSON. And then the last one here is for the Wix site ID. And let's go and find out where to pull all of this information from. All right, so here is the Wix site that I'm using. This is the make test Wix site. This is, like I said, I just created it for this. In order to get to this location, you're going to go to your dashboard. So when you first log in, it's going to look something like home here. This is your dashboard. And then on the bottom left, or on the left menu, we're going to scroll all the way to the bottom on settings. And then inside of the settings menu, at the bottom of the page, there's an option under advanced for headless settings. This is for OAuth and API calls. So we're going to click on that. It's going to open a new window. Here, these are the settings. We're going to be working with the admin API key. So we're going to click on manage API key. And it's going to open a new tab where you can manage the Wix or the API keys for the account. So in here, I already have one created for this that we're going to be using, but let me just go ahead and show you real quick how to do this. So we're going to click on generate a new API key, Wix, RSS, blog poster. All right. And then under the permissions, we're actually going to go down here on the right side under all site permissions and click this little see all drop down. If you go down, you're going to see Wix blog. And we're just going to select that one. It's the only one we need for creating a blog post. And then we're going to click on generate key. It's going to send an email. You're going to have to verify it in order to get the key. Now, once you've done that, so I'm going to cancel this because I already have a key. You're going to copy that key. You're going to go back to your scenario. And you're going to put that key value in right here under your scenario. Okay, so we're going to put this under the authorization one for the header. And we're going to copy and paste that in. Now the next one, content type, we already have that. Now the Wix site ID, we're going to grab that one from, go back to your Wix website. I'm going to move this down just a little bit so we can see this. Up here in your URL, you have manage Wix, you have dashboard. The number or this unique number following the dashboard is your site ID. And on mine, I just accidentally grabbed the slash after it, which we don't need. But I'm going to paste that in and then get rid of the slash. So that's your site ID. That's where you're going to find that. The next thing that we're going to do is put in our body type information. All right, so if we go down here to body type, we're using raw. We're using a JSON application. Let's set that. Body type is raw. Content type is JSON. Application JSON. See, so it's the same type that we have up here. And then the actual request content. What are we putting in there? We're going to copy all of this. And you'll see that some of these things go black. The reason this is because it's a variable from the other Wix scenario that I was using, and you have to reference this stuff from here. Remember I said don't put the title in quotes? Here's why. Because it's already in quotes here. If it comes out with quotes, it'll fail because it sees it as a double quote issue. So we're going to get rid of that one, and then we're going to go over here to Airtable. We're going to click on this title. Actually, no, we're going to do it from this one because this is where we're getting the record, and that's where we're going to grab this stuff from. Same thing here. We're going to get rid of this one, and we're going to click on content. So you'll see that they turn blue for Airtable. It would be a different color if it's a different thing in here. Now you'll see that I have a JSON output. There's some information here, such as the draft post, such as is it featured, yes or no, and then the rich content. You'll see I also have commenting turned off here. So if you want comments to be turned on in your blog, make sure that's set to true. And then the rich content, everything that's inside there is the nodes, and then the rest of this part is just the bottom part. It needs to be there exactly the way it's set up here. Now the member ID, how do we find that? I was not able to log into the backend and find a member ID. I actually had to use Postman to do it. So the API key that we got, you're going to go to right here. We're doing a get. We're going to find the members. And this is going to wixapis.com/members/v1/members. If you do that and leave it just as that, and you run that with the proper stuff here, you'll see that you have this stuff come back. However, it doesn't give you any emails. So if you have an account that has the same name, but multiple different emails, one of them is an admin, one of them is not, you'll need to make sure you add in this field selector identifier at the end. So we're saying there's a question mark and then field set equals full. We run that and it's going to give us the information that we need so we can verify that the one we want to use is the correct email. So where you're putting that other information in, right here under authorization, you're going to use the auth type of bearer token, and then you're going to paste in that API key right here in bearer token. And then under header, you create a new one. It's going to be called Wix site ID. And then that site ID that we pulled out of the URL from your website is going to be pasted in right here. And this lets you do API calls directly to the website without having to put all this stuff into make. So you can do this in order to grab the information out of the result. So we're just going to copy that one right there. We're going to go back to our new scenario and we'll see the member ID is right here. Paste this same one. And then we're going to click OK. Now that information is all in there. Now the only thing that we're going to be doing different in the next one, which is taking it from a draft post to a published post, is we're changing the actual location that we're going to in the URL. The rest of this stuff is the same, and we don't have to put any of this stuff down here. This stuff doesn't need to be here because all we're doing is telling it to switch over. So we can actually remove its information. The reason it's here is because what I did after I created the first one, I just right-clicked on this and I said clone it. Right. So now I have two of them that are the same way, but I need to change this URL. So the URL that we're going to go to is, now here's something that we actually need to have it run for. We can't pull this because we don't have a draft. We don't have we can't pull this information yet. This information in the other one was coming from here. When this had the output, then I could tell it pull from this one. Because these haven't run yet, I can't use that as a reference. So we're going to go ahead and run it. Right now, we're going to unlink this so that it doesn't try to move it to being published. So we will go ahead and run this again. It's going to run through its thing. All right, now that finished, the information that comes out of here where it was being published, right? So the output data is here. Okay, one of the things that I forgot to do here on this one, and this is important, and this is a good opportunity to show this. When we're looking at this, and we try to click on here, we see all of the data. So all of the data that came out is all just one big. Go look at the data here. Everything is just one big output. Well, we want stuff to be broken up, and the draft post ID is right here, but we can't get to it because it's all just part of the output that went. What I made a mistake here on, and you want to make sure you correct this, you click on HTTP on this first one. Down here at the very bottom, we tell it to parse the response. And what that means is it's going to take that response and it's going to break it up into the different areas that it needs to be broken into. We're going to have this one run again. All right, so that's gone through. We have Perplexity, JSON, all this stuff goes through. Now you'll see the output here. It's broken up into the different parsed JSON areas. So we have the ID, which is important because on the next one, we need to be able to pull that. So we go over here. And the reason we need that is because we need in this URL here, we need to tell it which specific draft post ID to grab. So if we go over here, I don't know why it's still using that. It should have other stuff there now. Yeah, so we're still pulling the old stuff for some reason. So we're gonna go over here, we're gonna get rid of this one. Then we're gonna click this under data and then draft post. We're gonna click on this little drop down here. We're gonna select the ID. That's what's important. We need that ID in order to publish it. So then we're gonna do post authorization. We're still using our API key, still using the Wix site ID. That hasn't changed. There's no reason to do anything with this. So we can actually just get rid of this and leave this empty and click OK. We don't need to post anything else. All we're doing is telling it to change its status from draft to publish. So let's run the whole thing again. All right, so now it's gone through, it's updating this Airtable. It switched this from a draft post and it took that post ID and converted it to being right there. A few seconds ago, this was published. Microsoft X, OpenAI discusses buying Perplexity. So that's posted. Now, what we don't have in here, the last thing that we're going to do is we're going to add one more Airtable in here. And this is just going to be to update a record. And this is going to be to change that status from being blank to published. That way, if we go and look at this data, we go look at the Airtable spreadsheet or the database, we will see which ones have been published and which ones have not been published. So for some reason, one went in and didn't make it through or it failed, we would be able to see here that it wasn't published. So we're going to click on this record ID. This is the Airtable that we're using. It's the same record ID from the one that we created the first time. We're going to go down here to status, and we're going to type in published. And we're going to click OK. And that's it. So if we go look at these other ones that were just created in here, you see all the statuses are blank because that part wasn't in there. So now if we go back and run this scenario, first of all, we're going to save it. We have not been saving like we're supposed to, just FYI. If you exit out of make and you haven't saved it, it will lose all of your stuff. There's no auto save in make. So let's just go ahead and run this again. All right, so this time it went all the way through, and let's go take a look at the website. We should see, yep, there's another one right there. It's the same one that went through, but it populated all the way across. And if we take a look at the Airtable, we'll see that the last one that went through is published. That is the whole automation, taking it from an RSS feed. If you set it up to be the one where when a new RSS is generated, it can automatically go out. It will. If you set it up the way I have, you have to manually come in here and click run in order to get it to go. So hopefully that gave you an idea of how to do this and that you're able to recreate this scenario of taking an RSS feed, converting it into a blog post that is broken up into a node-based JSON output, and then publish it to the Wix website. Let me know if you have any questions. Happy to help.